All right, so welcome to Unit 3. All right, so the next few units, we're going to be doing a lot of graphing. So those of you who have a printer and want to print out the lessons and work right on the lessons, you're going to have a little advantage because you're not going to have to copy so much down. But you absolutely can do these lessons without the printouts. You're just going to be sketching some graphs. So the first lesson, we're going to review how to plot points in the coordinate plane, learn a little vocabulary called domain and range. So here's our warm-up. Let's see who knows how to plot points on a graph already. So hopefully point A, so where is point A? Point A, you come down here and get this 2 first. That is totally required. The number from the x-axis, I want you to write the word axis there, A-X-I-S. All right, the x-axis goes there. It goes first, and this is the y-axis, and that goes second. So you go 2, 4. All right, if you say 4, 2, that's in a totally different place. Okay, so the order of those numbers totally matters. X always, so it goes X first, Y second, with a comma in between and parentheses around them. Do the other 3. So B is X is 3, Y is 8. C is X is 6, Y is 8. D, right halfway between 8 and 10 is 9. So D is X is 9 and Y halfway between 4 and 6 is 5. And so that's how you describe points on a graph. So this says, how long is line segment BC? Well, line segment BC, count it, is 1, 2, 3 units long. Now, if you got 4, no. Okay, it's 1 to there, 2 to there, 3 to there. All right. But more simply, just count how many boxes long it is. Don't count the little intersections. It's how many boxes long it is. Okay. All right, so that was we were just there in what's called the first quadrant, okay? And when you have 4 quadrants together, it's called the coordinate plane. Now the word plane just means flat surface. That's all it means, with an X and a Y coordinate. So there's lots of vocabulary, usually in the first lesson of a unit. So what you were just plotting are called ordered pairs, all right? A pair of shoes is not just 2 shoes, right? You can't buy 2 left shoes. It is a left and a right. So an ordered pair is an X coordinate and a Y coordinate in the correct order. It's got a good name. And the X coordinate, just like the alphabet, always goes first. So tell me where points E and F are. Well, point E is at 10, but you're getting this 10 first. And this 10 over here is missing because of the Y. That happens quite a bit. So E is at 10, 10. F is at 1, 9. Now notice, students sometimes, because they like to pick the number that's closest and put it first. That's not the rule. You always have to go down to X first. Okay? So where are G and H? All right, so G, you have to come down and get this 0 first. Then you write the 6. It is at 0, 6. 6, 0 is way over there. It's nowhere near G. And notice, by the way, it's where the point is, not where the letter is. The letter can be anywhere around the point. There's no special, it's just nearby. What direction it's in doesn't tell you anything. H, X is 4, Y is 5. And then we're obviously going to do J, K, and L. So J, X is 9, Y is 3. K is where the graph begins, right? This graph goes on forever, all right? That's why there's arrows there. You could plot 11, 2. 11, 2 would be right there. Just because the grid ends doesn't mean that the graph ends. The graph goes on forever. And it starts at 0, 0. And then L, X is 9, Y is 0. You're getting that 0 over there for Y. And those are called ordered pairs. You need to know that. All right, so that was the first quadrant. Now there are 4 quadrants. So it says label the quadrants I to IV. What the heck is that? All right, well, that's called what? Roman numerals. The Romans thought 1 should be I, and 2 should be I, and 3 should be I. They did 4, though, was a little different. 5, they decided was V. So they decided 4 was 1 less than 5, or IV. And so that's what goes on with Roman numerals. So I want everyone to label that quadrant 1. Okay, and then we go counterclockwise, the opposite way of a clock. So we go that way, and this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. All right, counterclockwise. Now, you're going to tell me where these points all are. E should be easy. All right, so E is it. So you come down to X first. Oh, let's label this. This is the X axis again. This is the Y axis again. And E is at 8, 1. Right? We're going over to there to Y to get the 1. So it's at 8, 1. All right, so where's F? All right, so F, you have to come down here and get this -2 first. And then you go over here and get the 5. So it's at -2, 5. Where's G? All right, G, now you have to go up to the x-axis. Halfway between -6 and -8 is -7. And so it's at -7. Halfway between -2 and -4 is -3. At -7, -3. And finally, H. So H, you go up and get this +4 there, and then over here from to Y and get this -4. So it's always X coordinate before Y coordinate. You're always getting that first number from there, from the X axis. Now I want to do one more thing here. Notice each of the quadrants has a different combination of positive and negative coordinates. So let's make sure we all know that. When you're in quadrant 1, both coordinates are positive. Please write that. So for those who don't have the printout, you're going to make a little sketch. So here's a little sketch, all right? And you're going to write that over here in quadrant 1, right, you have 2 positives. And then in quadrant 3, they're both negative, right? G, both the coordinates were negative. So over here in quadrant 3, they are both negative. In quadrant 2, right, the first number is negative, the X, and the second number is positive. Quadrant 2, right, we go negative, positive. So what's left? In quadrant 4, it goes positive first, like H, positive first, negative second. All right, so for those who don't have the printouts in these next few weeks, you're going to be drawing little sketches like that. Okay. All right, so these are called the X and Y axis. So when you have one of them, it's IS. This is the plural, all right? It's a weird plural. You say it as axes, all right? It is spelled the same way as axes, but it's X and Y axes when there's 2 of them. All right, so these are the fences between the 4 coordinates. So now we have a bunch of points that are on these fences, on the X and Y axes. So tell me where J is. Let's start with J. All right, so J is at 6, 0. Right? Because the X is 6, it's right on top of that, and you have to go back and get the 0. We don't write 2 zeros there. That 0 is for both the X and Y axis. So for J, X is 6 and Y is 0. For K, where is K? All right, so K, you have to go down and get the 0 first. And then Y coordinate from the Y axis is 9. Now, so let's look at that. So every point on the x-axis will end in a 0. Every point on the y-axis starts in a 0. Does that mean if it starts in a 0, it has to be along this y-axis? Yes, it does. And vice versa for the x-axis. Okay. All right, so where's L? Let me get this out of the way. All right, so the x-coordinate is -4, the y-coordinate is 0. Points on the x-axis end in 0. M. All right, it's really tempting Usually the mistakes are on this one, right? Because it's really tempting to write the -5 first, but no. You have to go up and get the 0 first, and it's 0, -5, just like k was 0, 9. And where is O? O is at the very beginning of the coordinate plane. It's at what? X is 0, Y is 0, also known as 0, 0. Now this is the beginning of the graph, right? It goes on forever in all these directions, right? I could plot the point 532, 754, and it'd be somewhere way over here, right? But way off this graph. But the graphs go on forever. But it begins here at 0, 0, and 0, 0 has a special name, all right? And it's a word that means the beginning. And so those of you who are comic book fans already know that the first story where the superhero gets his powers is called what? Well, it's called the origin story, and that means the beginning story. And the name of 0, 0 is the origin. It is the beginning. That's literally what the origin means. It's the beginning of the coordinate plane. All right, so practice here. Tell me where all those points are. Okay, so now we're going to work backwards. You're going to plot points on the coordinate plane. All right, so for those of you who don't, I'm going to make a mess here, right? For those of you who don't have the graphs, you're going to make a little picture, like make it bigger than this one, right? And so we're going to plot A at 5, 1. So X is 5, Y is 1, and you're going to put an A. So you have the grid, it's easier. If you don't have the grid, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and you're going to put an A right there like that. All right, where's B? Well, B is at 5, now -3, so we're down here 5, -3. So without the grid, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, negative, and you're going to put B right there and label it so I know that you plotted the point. Notice you can put the letter anywhere around the dot, doesn't matter. C, -7, +6. So X is -7, right? It's X first, Y second. So you get the X coordinate first, -7, then up to 6, up there, and there's where C is. So here we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Is this little sketch going to be as accurate as the grid? No, but it's going to be fine. We just have to know, make sure you know where it is. D. All right, so now we're at -7, -4. And so that's down there. -7, 1, 2, 3, -4 is D. And so notice once again, all right, A was in the first quadrant, both were positive. D was in the third quadrant, both were negative. C starts with a negative and ends with a positive. It was in the second quadrant. And B started with a positive, ended with a negative. It was in the fourth quadrant. I didn't do these in order. All right, you need to know that. All right, so where's E? He is at -1, -10, right down there. Right, so what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's down there. F is at -4, 0. G is at 0, -3. So X is 0, and then you go down to -3. So it's right there. Okay, and so we'll go over that. And 0, -3, 1, 2, 3, and that's what? G. Okay, so now let's look at these different points. So, where is point E? E is in quadrant 3, right? Both are negative. Now, where is F? F is on the x-axis. It is not in any quadrant. So F is on the fence. And when you're on the fence, F is not in quadrant 2 or quadrant 3. It is on the x-axis. Where is G? G is on the y-axis. It's on the fence between the quadrants. And so it is not in either quadrant on either side. So there are 6 locations in a coordinate plane. There are the 4 quadrants, and then there's the x-axis being on the x-axis, or being on the y-axis. The origin is not a 7th place because the origin is on both the x-axis and the y-axis. That's how that works. Okay, so that vocabulary you should have all heard before. Now, the domain is just the word we use for all the x values, and the range is the word we use for all the y values. So I want you to copy this t-table, whether you have the graph or not, and we're going to plot our point, or we're going to record the coordinates of our points. Let's do it in alphabetical order. And we're going to do it in this t-table. It's called a t-table because it sort of looks like the letter T. It's not a trick. So H here is at x coordinate 5, y coordinate 0. I skip I typically in math because it looks like 1. And so then we went to J, and J is 0, x is 0, right? You have to go down here and get that, and y is 7. K is -5, +9. And L is -5, -6. And that's a way we could record points instead of the traditional ordered pairs with parentheses. Now, the domain is just all the x values. So what are those? So 5, and you can put them in any order, 0 and -5. You don't write the -5 twice. So this side on a t-table, the left side is always x. It's always the domain. So what is the range? The range here is 0, 7, 9, and -6. And the y values will always be called the range. That's all. When I ask for the range, it's all the y values. Now, there is another range is used for something else in math as well. But this, in the algebra class, range is the y coordinates. All of them. All right. So let's just make sure we all can measure lengths. Okay, so we're going to measure line segment ST. All right, so that's what 1 unit looks like, right? It has 2 ends, and sometimes I get people who think it's 2. No, it's 1 box long. All right, so that's what 1 box long, 1 unit long looks like. All right, so how long is UV? You literally just have to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units long. And then you can guess WZ is, now one shortcut you can take, this is at -3, so it goes 1, 2, 3 to get there. This is at 7, so it must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get there. So it's 7 to get there and 3 to get there, right? You can just do 7 plus 3, and it's 10 units long, right? For the longer ones, I tend to count to the axis and then count the other side of the axis and add them together. But obviously, you can do it any way you want, but make sure you know that's 10 units long, and make sure that if you're getting answers that are 1 higher than what I'm getting, it's because you're thinking that's 2, and it's not. It's 1. All right, so we're going to plot some ordered pairs, right? Those without the printout are going to make a little sketch like that. When you make your sketch, by the way, I should have said this. You should label the x-axis and the y-axis like that. And so the first one goes at 3, 7. There's no letter this time. You're just going to put 3, 7 there. All right, and so those people have to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Try to be a little less sloppy than me. Make them right. These should be exactly the same same length apart, whatever you choose. Then we're going to go to 1, 6. So x is 1, y is 6. So x is 1, y is 6. All right. Now we're going to go to 0, 5 and a half. Plot that, please. All right, so if that's 5, where that line is, where is 5 and a half? 5 and a half is halfway between 5 and 6. So that's 0, 5 and a half. So you can plot it on your little sketch. It would be halfway between your 5 mark and your 6 mark. We don't typically plot a lot of fractions, but you can, right, 1/3, 5 1/3 would be 1/3 of the way between 5 and 6. All right, where's -1, 5? So x is -1, y is 5, -1, 5. Where's -2, 4.5? Well, -2, let's do another one with blue there. 4.5, 4.5 is another way to say a half, so that's halfway. 0.5 is 1/2. It's halfway between +4 and +5. So -2, right? And hopefully you're noticing a pattern here with these points. And there's -3, 4. So -3, +4, right? And so these should have all come out in a straight line. Okay, and we're going to be plotting a lot of straight lines today. All right, so we're at practice. So plot these points. Oops, I just made a mistake. It's 5, 0, and I started to plot 0, 5. 5, 0, -6, 0. -6, -7. -1, 7. 0, -8. That's what we look at. Which points are not in any quadrant? Okay. It's all the ones with zeros, right? So 5, 0 on the x-axis. -6, 0 also on the x-axis. And 0, -8 is on the y-axis. Label the domain and range. What's nice about t-tables is, right, you can just literally write domain up here, although there's the duplicate -6, it's fine, right? So the domain is 5, -6, -1, 0. The range is 0, -7, +7, -8. Range is the y values. All right, so plot these ordered pairs, 5 1/2, 2. 3 1/2, 0. There's 3. 3 1/2, 0 is right there. 1 1/2, -2. 1 1/2 is there. -2 is there. Ooh, these are coming out in a straight line again. So those doing a sketch, see if yours are coming out in a straight line. That'll prove you're neat. -1/2, -4. That's halfway between 0 and -1, -1/2. And then down to -4. If they're not coming out in a straight line, you're messing up. -2 1/2. That's halfway between -2 and -3, -6. Okay. -4 1/2. Halfway between -4 and -5, 8, -8. Okay. List another point along the same path, right? So pick another point. Look along there. See if you can see anyone. Is there a pattern here? Right, well, what would be at 7 1/2? I'm thinking if we're following this pattern, 3 1/2, 5 1/2, 7 1/2, we'd have 7 1/2, 4. 7 1/2, 4 seems to be there. How about down here? Well, then what would be -6 1/2? Would it be -6 1/2, -10 following the pattern? It should. If you follow the pattern, you will remain in the same path along the straight line. And that's what we're going to be doing in this unit. All right, what are the 6 places a point can be in the coordinate plane?